Hey guys, welcome back to Beach and Fishing. Paul here with you again today. And Beach and Fishing, my site aimed at everything to do with the wonderful, wonderful world of fishing. Stuck inside again today. It's cold and wet and windy outside again, which I know that some of you are saying, well, does that make you a fair weather fisherman? And yes, it does. I don't like being out there in the cold and wet wind. So today I'm just doing some research and catching up, and I just want to discuss with you my 5 best fishing tools that I've come up with just for general everyday day-to-day fishing. Now, tools are something that we don't always think about when we go fishing, especially for those of you starting out. You'll get yourself your rod, your reel, you'll put some line, you'll get some tackle, and you'll head off down to the water's edge, and then you'll catch a fish that has the hook a little bit further down its throat that you may like, or your line gets tangled or gets caught or something like that, and you don't have the tools to get yourself out of that trouble. So today I'm just going to run you through very quickly through the 5 tools. The post below takes you through them all in a little bit more detail, but I'm just going to run you through the 5 here, the 5 things I think you need. And at the bottom of the post again, I've listed some others which we'll talk about at the end, but these, if you've got one or more of these 5, I think you'll be okay. And to be honest, if you got about the top 3, generally going to be okay as well. So first one is pliers. Now, everything I have are proper specific for fishing. So I've got a set of fishing pliers here. They've got the long nose variety, so you can grip onto stuff. They've got the line cutter, and they've got little grip things here so you can grip hooks. So that little circle that you can see there, I can grip hooks with that circle. I can crimp things and the like. So as I say, this is a specialized set of fishing pliers of it. There's even some serrated edge there, so I can pull line over it and wrap line around and the like, which I have used that if I'm trying to get a line in a circle to put over something. If you've got a set of pliers in your garage that you don't use, especially long nose pliers, grab them. Any pliers is better than no pliers, because pliers are used for removing hooks from the mouths of fish and all the things I mentioned before. Grabbing, you can even use it to grab the lip of the fish if you're trying to hold it in place. If it's flat on the ground, you can hold the lip of it with your pliers. You can use it to fix things, you can use it to cut line and the like, as I said. So the first thing you've got there is pliers, which takes us into our number 2, a pair of scissors. Now, I just mentioned that pliers have cutting implements on there which will cut most monoline but won't cut braid. So scissors are very good for cutting braid. They're also very good if you've got your hook there and you've tied your line right up next, like you've tied your knot, you can just snip the little extra bit off the end there with your scissors. So scissors are a second option that I would highly recommend. You're not going to drop dead in a ditch if you don't have them, but I would highly recommend that you do have some scissors with you. Third one, with the pliers, take a knife. Knives, if you've got rods flowing around everywhere and you've got a fish on, or you've got a snag and you're in a kayak and you're drifting away, or stuff is happening everywhere, fiddling around to try and find a pair of scissors or pliers can take time. A knife to snip and it's cut. Obviously, you use your knife for cutting bait, cutting line, cutting seaweed away from your line, which I've had to use the knife for. Cutting fish, if you're cutting fish while you're out there, sometimes you'll catch a fish and you'll clean it up and take the head off and stuff while you're there. A knife, any knife, again, for general fishing, any knife will do. This is a filleting knife. If I put that nice and close, see how shockingly serrated and chopped that edge is? That's because I use my good fishing knife, filleting knife, for fishing. I recommend you have 2 knives, one for filleting, one for fishing, because fishing knives do cop quite a, they have a hard life, the old fishing knife, with all the things you're chopping and bashing and hitting. And I had to cut, you're cutting line, which means you're hitting hooks, you're hitting swivels, all that sort of stuff with them. So get yourself a good knife for fishing. Again, if you want to grab any knife out of the kitchen drawer, probably not your best chef's knives, but any knife will do. Again, these ones are stainless steel, so that's why I generally grab a fishing knife, because A, they're stainless steel, and B, they've got a handle that is a bit more rubberized and a bit more harder plastic. Makes it a lot easier to grip and handle and control. So that would be my advice for a fishing knife. Number 4 is a ruler. Again, if you're new to fishing, I don't know about other countries. I don't know whether it's seasonal or by size, but in Australia, we are very much governed by the size of the fish. We're bag limits and size. So, for example, a bream we catch, one species we catch, is a minimum of 25 centimetres before you can keep it. So that's that long. So a ruler, I can just put the fish on the end, goes 25 centimetres to the tip of the tail. Yep, that's good. I mean, to be honest, if you're that unsure, just throw it back anyway. But pretty strict rules for keeping undersized fish here, and fines. So a ruler is a good way of making sure that your fish, if you're planning to keep your fish to eat, then get a ruler and make sure that it is of a legal size. Now my fifth option is not actually a tool, and I don't have one here because it is locked away in our van and I can't get to it at the moment, but a first aid kit. Why? Because knives are sharp, scissors are sharp, pliers, you can get your fingers caught in it, and then we go to hooks, which are nice and sharp at the end there. We have fish that are spiky, you have oysters on rocks which can cut you, you have people, fools breaking bottles under the water, so if you stand on them you can cut your feet, rocks you can scrape yourselves on, all sorts of stuff that you can do yourself damage whilst you are fishing. And I always come home with cuts on my hands. I've got a little cut there on my hand from fishing the other day, another one cut on my finger somewhere that trust me, in this day and age with a lot of hand sanitizers, you certainly know when you cut your hand fishing when you start throwing on hand sanitizer, trust me. But anyway, all those sort of things can happen to you while you're out fishing, all the sharp implements you're playing with. So a first aid kit, make sure it's got some band-aids, a little bit of gauze or bandage, some waterproof tape, some stingos, because you're out in the open, so there's insects, there's fish that can sting you and bite you, and all sorts of stuff you can get. I don't know why we even bother, but mosquitoes and march flies and sandflies and a little thing we here call midges, which are tiny little things that just itch and itch and itch. If you're in a freshwater area, you've got leeches and the like as well. So a little bit of insect repellent, and then some stingos, we call it. It's one of those things where you call everything of that by the one brand, just insect bite cream or spray would be good. And while we're on that, keep your sunscreen and your bottled water as well. So they're your 5 main tools. The other things that you can consider, or if you come across, I mean, I've got links to all of the proper fishing option in my post. I have all the proper fishing options here, and the main reason for that, as I say, is, to be honest, just the stainless version of them. Even my scissors here, you can, if I hand them up close, you can see there's that little stain and a little starting to rust on the end there. These are stainless steel fishing scissors, and I rinse them every time I use them, but they still get that. I don't think these are the best quality ones. I hope I didn't show the brand, but yeah, so they rust a little bit there. But if you grab a knife or pliers or anything that aren't graded, I guess for a better term for fishing, they will corrode pretty quickly. So that's why I've chosen proper fishing gear. But as I keep saying, I don't care if you take your son's school ruler or your daughter's school ruler, the 30 centimeter ruler that you get from school. I've got a sticker on the side of my boat. It doesn't matter what you use. Most of them, the ones for fishing, will also come up. This one says a guide only not to, I think that might come backwards. A guide only not to be used for legal measurement or length. So they all say that. So I don't know what the fisheries use. They use the fisheries checked all our fish recently, and they had a sewing tape. But anyway, I've got a stick on the side of my kayak, which I use as well. And as I keep saying, if it's that close, throw it back. The other things, fish hook remover, you can look at as well. If you're chasing species that are well known to swallow hooks, you get these little long things with a little tiny pliers in the end, which you can remove the hook from. You've got fish lip grips, which I didn't bring in with me. They're like little pincers. They're about like that, and they pinch on the lip of the fish. Use them, especially they're good if you're in an area like a jetty or something where you're reaching over and trying to get the fish. Fish lip grippers can be good for that. Multifunction knives just means you've got all this sort of stuff in the one spot. Scissors, knives, screwdrivers, another option there as well. especially if you're trying to fix reels. For example, this old LV reel I've got here, it's got a screw thing on the front there that if that becomes too loose, I need a screw, because this is quite an older reel, I need a screwdriver to sometimes loosen that off. Screwdriver, what else we got? Scales if you want to brag, but yeah. Anyway guys, that's my 5 tools that I recommend. Your knife, your pliers, your scissors, absolutely. Ruler, just make sure you've got something to measure. That can be a sewing tape, as I mentioned before. First aid kit, I'd highly recommend. The other options there's 1,000 different types of tools you can take for fishing. I've just listed the ones that I highly recommend and the almost mandatory ones. Apart from that, all good. Okay guys, hope that was helpful for you. If you're watching this from YouTube, please like and subscribe to my channel below. That way you can keep up to date with everything that I've discovered in the world of fishing. I've got a whole list of things I'm about to review. Now that I've got my GoPro up and running, I can go and do all that. If you are watching this from the post and you have any experience with any tools, anything you recommend, anything that I've missed that you use, or an all-in-one tool that covers everything, comment below. Would love to hear from you. Okay guys, that's it. Happy fishing. Chat to you soon. Bye.